Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to this exclusive session at Talent Tech Evolve. And I have the privilege to welcome a leader, Group CHRO at Singtel, Aileen Tan. She joined Singtel in 2008, and she's responsible for the development of HR, human resources development, and also leads the group corporate sustainability function for Singtel. It's a pleasure to have her with us, and we're going to be really talking about her own journey, and more specifically about the innovative work that they're doing at Singtel and how they're taking the organizational digital.
Firstly is that I was textbook smart. Yeah. So I was a good student, right? I was a good student. So I was textbook smart. And I could literally lift every concepts and principles from a textbook. Yeah. All right? To be a people manager, right? Because as a people manager, you're supposed to have a vision, you're supposed to plan, and you're supposed to delegate, you give KPIs, give goals. If you don't meet the KPIs, my job is you don't meet the KPIs, you have to go on a performance improvement plan, because that's how the textbook taught us. Okay, if I may share with you, everything I learned from a textbook just simply backfired. Because my 20 plus employees, they literally thought they have worked with a supervisor from hell. I was very tough because, but I was
no human behind.
There was no human. It was purely textbook concepts on people management. So I was very thankful that I have a team leader. She was very, very nice because she had the courage and walk to me and tell me, Aileen, I would like to give you some feedback. Yeah. Because if you are going to continue this way of people management, we're all going to have a hard time. Yeah. Okay.
So it was a very aha moment. The textbook is only...
It was an aha moment, and I have to go back and perhaps, in search of what go back to the principle of what is motivation, go back to the principle what engagement is, go back to the principle of what motivation is, which we sometimes seriously would just forget. Not that we do not know. I think when we are helping someone to be a good people leader, you can't just put them through a 5-day people management workshop and hoping that when they come back to work the next week, they are just going to be the best people manager we're ever going to have. That's not going to work. Right. So it got to be supported through coaching, got to be supported through feedback, which all goes back to the fundamental of development. One of the fundamental things that never changed, at least throughout my past 30 years of career, right, is that people fundamentally want to do a good job. That's actually in every era you see that people want to do a good job if they're given the opportunity. So if I go back to really what never changed, in my opinion is that after all these years, people still want to do a good job. People want to, progress. And people want to create progress as well. If you just create that opportunity, all right, for them to do so, I think that's really where potential can truly unleash. If you think about Singtel, we are already coming to be 139-year-old. That's a history. That's as you can think about it. It's a company that has as long a history as the country in that sense, right? And how we could actually sustain for the past 139 years, a lot has to do with the people we have. That's right. Okay, so we have always consciously, bring in very young talent, develop them, expose them to different opportunities, whether it's in country, it could be, regionally, try different aspects of the business, run a new entity. So we did all this. So we have been working on how do we expand that. I give you an example. We actually started as young as people who are 16 years old in school. Okay? What we did was that we invite these young students to discover what they're truly passionate about. Okay? Like just maybe about a week or 1.5 weeks ago, we have like a cyber war game workshop. And this workshop actually is participated by kids, who are about maybe 17, 16-year-old, 18-year-old. And the reason why we're doing it is to expose this young generations of people to what cybersecurity is all about, which is really what's happening in today's world. And possibly they may think that this is a career they want to pick. And of course, our hope is always to make sure that we're able to have a bench of leaders who are going to run the business as we evolve. Okay, and what's also very interesting, I give an example, because as you know, in Singapore, we have declining birth rate and an aging population. So recently, about maybe a couple of years ago, we started Silver Talent as well. And the reason why we call it Silver Talent, and the reason is that most of our employees who are close to retirement age, right? If we start to get them ready for retirement, typically the concept of retirement is also associated with winding down.
Why should it be?
So if people are winding down, some of the typical behaviors you'll be associated with is that, okay, I don't have to learn new skills. I better start to think about what I'm going to do after retirement, which is more hobby or new interest related, possible, right? So we decided that these people would still have maybe another good 5 to 10 years of runway. Why not? All right, because given aging population, we need to retain experience, as many talents as we can. So we started this Silver Talent program, whereby when someone turns 50 or 55, we start to actually invite them for workshop around change management, and possibly embarking on a new skill set, another new profession. Just remember 3 numbers I'm going to share with you. Okay, it's called 60, 40, and 65. Okay, what it means, I think every year when we look at our annual operating plan and our HR people strategy in particular, so my staff my team, my leadership team actually would remember this formula, 60, 40, 65. Okay, what it means is that very likely, because many of our programs that we are doing, HR initiatives are never going to be a 12-month initiative, as you know. And typically, give you an example where we talk about talent development, right? Talent pipeline. You're talking about years, So very likely, the first 60 will come in, which is that whatever we are doing currently, 60% actually will still be very relevant. So it's something that will continue to operate. We shouldn't remove them, because you need sustainable initiative, especially around talent development, some of the practices but even performance management, cycle, all this must go on. Okay, so that's actually 60% of the work that we're doing. That's the current bit. We can't do that away. Okay, now, then the other 40 is really around what are some of the new things that we have to start considering, especially given all the digital transformation that we are encountering, given the demographic changes that we are experiencing, and also some of the emerging businesses that we are building that require new skill sets, which also means that we have to fundamentally do things a bit differently. So we are quite clear every year when we look at our plan, 60% is just going to be business as usual, but the other 40 are going to be new, right? But of course, every one of us, we do not have a bottomless pit, whereby we have all the resources that you can indulge. It's not going to work. Okay, so the deal is that I always tell my people, the 65%, you must go back and look at your business, your operations, your area. What are the 65% you can do without? Because you need capacity. So one of the big conversation we have is that going back to saying, what are things that you got to stop doing because it doesn't create the impact, or it is really totally obsolete, or we have gotten so complacent and so used to that
we don't question it.
We don't question anymore.
But it's not maybe adding value.
Exactly, it's not adding value, it's totally irrelevant, or there could be technology that comes in to replace it. But we have stopped, exploring. So very likely that's going to be about 65%. And the reason why I wanted the team to use a 65% to remove, because you see, when you are trying to spend 40% of your time embarking on new stuff, actually you need to work even harder, because we ourselves, we have to pick up the new knowledge, we have to pick up the new skills.
So there's a lot of wastage in a way.
Exactly. You need to invest, right? You need to invest, which also means you need to have that expanded capacity, correct? Yeah. So the expanded capacity is not going to be 40. Yeah. It got to be 65, which is something you don't do, or else every one of us got to work 200% harder, you know? Yeah. Which I also share with my staff. That's not sustainable. You get burnout.
The 65%, it's probably very difficult.
You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Very difficult because, you know, there's emotions and there's so much investment that has gone, and there's so much, you know, kind of love for some of those things.
It's not easy, I could tell you, because even when we were doing the planning among ourselves, sitting in a room, we lock ourselves for hours, right? It was easy to identify the first 60. It's exciting to do the 40, but when it comes to 65, I could tell you, all my team, they're tearing their hairs.
It's not possible.
It was like, this is important, that is important.
This is also important.
This is also important, right? Everything is important. But I said that, come on, the deal was very clear. If you want to keep your 65, I'm okay with it too. But you are not going to get any additional resource from me because I'm not going to give you. Which also means all your people got to do the 40, 60, 65, that's 165. Yeah. It's your decision. It's your decision, so you got to choose, right? Now, the issue is that if you can remove 15, it's still good, you do 150. Yeah. So I can tell you very, very honestly, did we manage to get to 65? That's a stretch. Exactly. And I can appreciate that. Why? Because I have a team who is really quite amazing because there's so much commitment and ownership to the work they do. Which back to your point, where you have such a high level of commitment and ownership, it's never going to be so easy to give it up, right? Because, you know, we came through we came through such a tough journey to get to this spot, and now we are telling that's not relevant. Yeah. But I guess, you know, sometimes that's where my job got to come in already. Yeah. I have to play the role of a devil's advocate, and right? Challenge your question, and sometimes those conversations can be tough.
So give me some examples on last year's 40.
Last year, the 40 was around the concept of experimentation. Yeah. Okay, experimentation. We wanted a first taste of what digital HR is all about. Yeah. Okay, what digital workplace is all about, what digital workforce is all about. Yeah. Because, you know, the word digital is actually, while it sounds such a simple word, but it's so fuzzy actually as a concept, right? Yeah. So we decided that as a team we should have a year of experimentation to figure out what the 40 could. That means help this 40% element to be a bit more robust, a bit more meaty in its own way. So what we decided to do was that I told each team, each one of you got to do 2 to 3 experiments. Yep. Okay? How we take it forward, I give you an example. We are a very huge organization. And it's very common for us to partner very, the larger consulting company to do work with us, right? So we use some of the bigger players because they are a bit more robust and perhaps can cater to the kind of size that we are in. Yeah. But can you imagine if I need to change something, it's a 6 to 12 months preparation. I can't just cut over. I can't experience technology that quickly. I can't just do that. It's impossible. But last year, what we did was that we decided that how can we be a bit more agile? Yeah. Because we need to embark this 40, they have to do various experimentation. How do we do that? So we came out with this term called borrowed agility. Okay. All right? And we just so happily look out for all this HR technology startup. Yeah. Right. We asked them, can you do a small experiment with us? Can you do a small experiment?
They love it, of course.
Of course, they love to. But for us, it's because it's experiment. Also means that I don't need a 6 to 12 months preparation time.
Yeah. You can fail.
I can fail is fine because it doesn't hurt me as much. Yeah. Right? Because of the size of my organization, can you imagine? I open the floodgate, people can drown. I don't get water up to your ankle, you know, if you think about it that way. So I got to be very careful. But the size of us is just not going. It's totally. a challenge to get so agile, but we decided we use the word borrow agility. We borrowed the agility from these small little players, so they came in and do work with us. That actually opened up a lot of appetite for my people. Okay.
To take risks and to...
Take a bit of risk, experiment a bit. So last year, my rewards team, their 40% was deploy 2 RPA, 2 robots. So I got 2 robots now working for my rewards team.
Okay.
And then for our shared service team, they decided they want to go paperless, which is the way to go, because I'm not going to get anyone to do manual filing in time to come. And now we are actually in the midst of also the recruitment team, also tried various application from HireView to video my job. I mean, we just allow people to try different things. So last year, we get the team to build the appetite about what future of work is all about. Okay, now everybody appetite is kind of like they understand what it means already. So this year, our big plan, we just formed a new department called Future of Work. Now I could consolidate the effort and we can actually drive many of this little experiment and make it real as a function within the HR organization. So this year, you see the 40% is a lot more robust, a lot more meaty in its own way. It's so important for us to champion what a digital workforce, what the digital workplace, and what digital HR is all about. So this is going to be this year's focus.
So tell me, what will be the KRA of this team? How will you measure their success?
Their KPIs are not going to be just solely owned by them. I give you an example. The whole entire HR SLT, we have to own the set of KRAs together. Like we are now in the midst of actually devising our mechanism of measuring what a digital workforce is all about. So we came up with some interesting terminology among ourselves. We asked ourselves, how many of our employees are digital naives? I know it sounds not so great a word, but
that's a reality.
But that's a reality. But our objective is to create a vibrant digital citizen kind of workforce, right? So actually part of our mandate this year is that we are putting all our employees through a digital, I won't say literacy, but they call it a digital,
acceleration.
A skills future for digital workforce.
Got it.
Right? How do you thrive in a digital economy?
Yes.
Right? And also some of us are going to learn, like I'm going to learn basic business analytics, which is so important, right? Given the proliferation of data, let's just say. Whereas some of my colleagues may learn simple coding in Python. I mean, you just get a feel, of what is it all about. Correct. So are they going to become a coder? No. But do they appreciate what coding is all about? Absolutely. That's what we call a digital citizenship. So we are in the midst of, making sure that we provide all our employees the opportunity to be part of this digital journey. That's very important to us. Now, coming back to the digital workplace, okay, like I said, we are now in the midst of making sure that this is going to be a workplace whereby our digital citizen, our digital natives, and our digital experts will thrive, right, in their own little ways. Okay, so my digital citizen are all my employees. So like I said, many of my HR processes and some of the company's transactions are already online, and we are moving more towards mobile-led kind of setup. So I could use my mobile phone, technically speaking, really, literally, I can approve vacation application. Let's just say, when we had a coffee, it's a business meeting, I'm going to clock it into a company expense, right? I could actually literally just...
On the go,
on the go, I could just take a photo of my receipt, scan it on the mobile, done the submission, my supervisor said, just approve and life goes on. So everything can be done, via mobile, and that's the direction that we're moving. That's how we create a digital workplace. And from a digital HR perspective, I give you an example. The way we are doing recruitment has changed. One of my staff actually came up with what I call a digital roadmap for for talent acquisition, all the way from, how do we source for talent through technology? How do we build our branding through technology? How do we do, selection, assessment, all the way to onboarding? And we actually map each state of the journey and identify all the enabling, the digital technological enablers. We identify for each stage.
Underpinning the experience of the
Yes,
candidate.
exactly. So we wanted to create a digital employee experience that we did that. So I give you an example. In the recent management associate program, we wanted to we engage our candidates. And how we do it, we had a chatbot actually chatting away with our candidates. So they didn't realize that actually, but it was a chatbot actually speaking to our candidates. And then the first round interview, we told the candidate, you don't have to come and see us because it could be anywhere. So we actually put them through a video, right, where they actually just speak to the video, And obviously some of the online assessment, they did all the online assessment, they submit through. It was only the maybe last 2 rounds because we wanted to monitor group dynamics and also having interaction with the senior management that they come on board and see us, right? And obviously today with the social, so prevalent, we could do a lot of background checks actually just using, social referencing. You could do that. It's quite straightforward. So you can see us actually consciously really driving a lot of our people practices actually through technology.
Wonderful. How do you take care of failure? Because in your 40%, you are encouraging people to take risks.
It's not easy, I can tell you that. Firstly, I am also a perfectionist. So when I'm a perfectionist, you can imagine that failure is never something I can accept readily, right? Right. So there are a couple of things I have to dabble with, and I always tell my people that I have to learn how to see imperfection a bit more perfectly. Okay.
The beauty of imperfection.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes. You have to. You have not a lot of choices. Number one, but the other thing around the concept of failure, okay, I think. If I also realize that if we're so fearful of failure, we better stay status quo. And I could tell you that when an organization is so large, we have to deal with many feedback, and many times, sometimes when your experiment really fail quite horribly, and it happens, and sometimes your customers' comments to you are not exactly encouraging as well. So it's very easy. So the question right now is that when you experiment, as much as the failure not necessarily give you the return, you still have to deal with some of the less constructive feedback around you. So that can be very, very demoralizing. So even your supervisor or people around you may encourage you should do it, good try, but I could tell you some of those not so constructive feedback will just warn you out, and you will just tell next time I won't do it. Okay, so now how do we mitigate some of this? Okay, and I think it's very important is firstly, I think we have to really demonstrate to our people that we should try no matter what. We should experiment. That's why the formula helps, because it forces people to do that, right? Second thing, I also feel it's very important to make sure that I actually deliberately sometimes cut out the boundary. So I said, you stretch yourself, but I know if the things is, I'll be watching, okay, but things is going to go awfully wrong. That's where escalation, you must remember escalate, because that's where I will come in and support. And support or help to position or help to mitigate, right? It's something I have to do as a supervisor. So at least my people know that for whatever it is, if indeed it's a thunderstorm, Aileen is holding the big umbrella for every one of us. They got to feel that they are being supported. Yes. right? But sometimes they feel sorry for me because they realize that I'm holding an umbrella for them, but no one is holding the umbrella for me.
Who is holding your umbrella?
But I always tell them, you know, I'm a pair of seasoned old hands. Leave it, I know what to do, right?
Yeah.
So you guys don't have to worry. All you need to do, you got to do what you need to do. Now, third thing that come in, I always believe in post-mortem. You must have post-mortem, you must have debrief, and you must ask yourself, what has actually gone wrong?
Yeah. And what can we learn?
Exactly.
From that?
But unfortunately, many a time, the team actually see post-mortem as a witch hunting process that we're trying to find fault.
And
this is because you're trying to, because in the conversation we are trying to find out who did what. They felt that.
Yeah.
They felt bad because they felt that names are put on the table, you're doing a witch hunting, which we as supervisor, we have to be very, very careful to position that we're not witch hunting, but we need the facts. Then we know how to,
learn from that.
Learn from it.
Miscommunication, was it?
Exactly.
What was the real problem?
Yeah. And I think very important, no matter what I always said, you still got to celebrate a learning journey, okay? But of course, I always tell you, it's easier said than done because I'm a perfectionist myself. So I always tell my people, we have to just sometimes unlearn some of the bad behaviors ourselves to make sure that we continue to relearn, all right? But I'm happy actually I have a team of people who are quite adventurous, generally. So they're willing, some of them actually with the company for 40 years. But can you imagine?
Child in them of being
because we encourage them, right? I give you an example. We have a lady who's she's in her mid-60s. Actually, she's a lady who helps us with all our manual filing. But can you imagine the manual filing work now has gone away because everything is being done electronically, right? Correct. But guess what happened? We sit down and taught her how to do do a bit of check and balance on the electronic file because sometimes it can dock wrongly, right? So you still need some check and balance, you still need to run the audit trail to make sure that the function is working as planned. So we taught her, so she learned something new.
Absolutely.
All right? To some extent, she still finds relevance in the skills that she has. That's important. But obviously, was it a tough journey? Did she mess up initially? Obviously, she did.
Naturally.
But if you are going to tell her, oh my God, you are fired, I would share with you, no one's going to work on new things.
So that support and encouragement.
That's important.
So my last question, and I'm intrigued on this future of work department. Will you just very briefly share with us what's the long-term vision and any milestones you have to say, well, in 1 year from today, or in 2 years from today, or in 3 years from today, how will you define, their vision, which is obviously integrated with your vision as HR, and what will be some of the milestones for this team?
Actually, we never quite set a milestone per se. And the reason why is that, like I said, because I have this 60, 40, 65, and I'll let the 60, 40, 65 take care of the entire journey. Because, you see, that the reason why I decided to call it future of work, I could actually not even call it for future of work. And it was also because I really wanted the team to embrace what is coming ahead and feel excited. So I'm actually using this as a platform to create excitement.
For change.
To change, to try new things, right? So if you think about it, if I'm going to allow just these few people to carry the burden for everyone, it is not correct. And that's not, and I'm also not looking forward to a HR department that is only future-oriented in the future of work space, but not the other space, because you will start to see all this growing, integrated together. So my vision actually is that eventually the whole Singtel HR is actually
future of work.
And it's not just future of work, it's every day we are future of work. So if you see me 3 years down the road, I love to be able to tell you what I'm thinking, what I'm working on next 3 years.
Very nice.
You have to always, take that move forward, pay it forward, drive forward, I think concept. That's how we can always stay very relevant, for our business.